Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 29th of June, now it's 11 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update today, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon on my Patreon page, in which I will share additional news that will be reported by Russian media. By the way, I do on regular basis some extras on my Patreon in attempt to generate additional interest among members of our community, and I will be immensely grateful if you will consider to join my Patreon. You will see a link under this video in the description box. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with a short summary of situation on the front line. And first of all, Kherson region, in which, as you know, during the previous days, Ukrainian forces did manage to cross Dnieper River and establish a bridgehead right next to Antonovsky Bridge, and also there were some reports that during previous 24 hours Ukrainian forces were very active in attempt to establish some strong holds on these islands in the Dnieper Delta, and I guess in coming days we will see attempt from Ukrainian forces to cross entirely Dnieper in this sector and establish some bridgeheads on the northern and the southern part of Golaya Pristan settlement. We did have reports from Russian media, for example, RIA Novosti here is reporting on base of statements of Russian military that are operating in this very direction, Kherson region, and according to this information, Russian side methodically are destroying Ukrainian bridgehead and are neutralizing Ukrainian units that are holding positions in on that bridgehead here on the left bank. But yet again, at least for this moment, seems like Ukrainian units are holding to their positions, and it's hard to tell how long they will be able to do so, and it's quite possible that Zelensky's regime will send additional troops in this direction despite heavy losses, because in my reading of picture, this activization in Kherson region due to plans of Zelensky's regime to conduct mass crossing of the Dnieper River, mass crossing of Kakhovka water reservoir, which will take place, in my understanding, simultaneously with second wave of Ukrainian so-called counteroffensive in Zaporozhye sector of the front line. So next couple of days and probably couple of weeks, we will probably see even more activities in Kherson direction and in direction of Energodar and Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Now let's talk about Zaporozhye sector itself. There was reports that Ukrainian side is continuing to redeploy additional units from strategic reserves in direction of Orekhova, especially in this sector of the front, Pitikhatki, Zherebyanki. There were some local scale skirmishes. Also, same goes for Rabotina direction, but mainly in this area it's artillery duels. Much more activity are taking place in direction of this bridgehead that Russia holds between Uglidar and Gulyai-Pole, so-called Remensky ledge. Here Ukrainian side did manage to improve their positions a little bit after they managed to establish control over the Rovnopol, and now they are trying to conduct offensive operations in direction of Volodina here. And I guess during the day we will see some clashes between some severe clashes between the sides in this area. But even if Ukrainian forces will be able to establish control over these few settlements on this bridgehead that Russia controls, it's quite far away from first line of defense of Russian forces. So we can just state the fact that despite almost a month of Ukrainian so-called counteroffensive, at least for now, Zelensky's regime did not manage even to breach or reach first line of defense of Russian forces. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, preparation of mass crossing of Dnieper and mass crossing of Kakhovka water reservoir will take for Zelensky's regime about a week or two, at least a week or two, and probably second wave of Ukrainian counteroffensive will begin in that amount of time, in about a week or 2 weeks time. But yet again, I'm not military expert, and my reading of big picture may be mistaken. When it comes to Donetsk direction, it's Marinka is usually hot point. Russian side did conduct some successful local scale offensive operations, but this settlement is still disputed between the sides. And when it comes to Avdiivka, it's some kind of operational pause is holding for the last couple of days in this area, and maybe this operational pause will hold on for quite a while, at least before situation will be resolved in regards to this Ukrainian counteroffensive. And by the way, when it comes to direction of Bakhmut or Artyomovsk, Ukrainian side are much more active in this direction, especially on the flanks of Bakhmut and Solidar than on Zaporozhye sector of the front line. Much more severe clashes are taking place in Bakhmut, Solidar direction, and according to Russian side, and I just did share a few minutes ago on my Telegram page summary of Rybar, military expert, and one of the biggest channel on the Telegram, biggest Russian language channel, according to which, despite Ukrainian attempts to achieve some success on the flanks of Bakhmut, Russian side managed to repel all the offensive movements of Ukrainian forces. But very same time, there are some other reports also that this constant pressure from Ukrainian forces and constant redeployment of fresh troops in direction of Bakhmut did beginning to play some role. And Kurdyumovka now is a hot point, and sides are clashing inside this settlement itself. Also, according to some sources, Ukrainian forces managed to enter a southern part of Bakhmut, and some clashes are taking place in this area. But yet again, this is officially not confirmed information, so we should take this information with a pinch of salt, definitely. And there are some reports that Ukrainian forces also did manage to move in direction of northern part of Bakhmut, and they are now fighting. Russian and Ukrainian forces are fighting in vicinity of Yahidna, and Ukrainian forces are trying to cut off Bakhmut from the northern part. And clashes are taking place also in Berkhovka, and according to some reports, Berkhovka water reservoir is under full control of Ukrainian forces. So at least for now, it seems like one of the main direction of Ukrainian forces is to, or main goals for Ukrainian forces in this sector of the front is to cut off Bakhmut from Krasnaya Gora and cut off all these roads that are connecting these two settlements. And also heavy fighting on the local scale, but still heavy fighting are taking place in direction of Solidar. Also very significant development, and maybe theoretically it's possible that this constant pressure and constant redeployment of additional forces by Zelensky's regime eventually may play its role, and Ukrainian side may achieve some breakthrough on any one direction. Maybe it will be Kurdyumovka sector, maybe it will be between Bakhmut and Krasnaya Gora or Solidar sector. But I guess Russian side was ready for this kind of development, and in coming days, probably we will see a redeployment of Russian reserves in this direction to stabilize front line. Of course, during the day, I will share additional news that will be reported about these very significant developments on my Telegram page. When it comes to Seversk direction, Belogorovka is traditionally a hot point, and sides are constantly fighting for control over this area. But at least for now, no one, not Russian forces, not Ukrainian forces, are able to achieve unconditional success in this area, and Belogorovka is still disputed between the sides. Artillery duels are mainly taking place in the direction of Liman and also in the direction of Kupiansk. But there were some reports that Zelensky's regime is massing forces in this land bridge on the border with Belgorod region of Russian Federation. Rybar channel also did report about it, and if that's the case, then probably in coming days we will see attempt from Ukrainian side to cross border with Belgorod region, border of Russian Federation, and enter Belgorod region and basically distract public's attention, because of course everyone was waiting when it comes to Western world or Ukraine itself, because of this heavy propaganda. Expectations probably was that there will be some significant successes on part of Zelensky's regime in the Zaporozhye sector of the front, but at least for now, despite immense casualties and immense losses that Zelensky's regime and Ukrainian forces did head in this direction, Ukrainian forces did not even manage to reach first line of defense. So let's see, maybe in coming days we will see some provocations in direction of Belgorod region. But right now, as I just said a few minutes ago, Bakhmut-Solidary direction is much more active than Zaporozhye front line. So this sector is also becoming extremely significant. And of course, I will share on my Telegram additional news that we will have about developments. Now let's talk about some other news. And RIA Novosti is reporting, I did spoke about it, that Russian side is methodically are destroying Ukrainian units on this bridgehead right next to destroyed Antonovsky bridge. But at least for now, Ukrainian forces are holding on to their positions. Next information is about Kakhovka water reservoir, which is here. By the way, this once huge mass of water called Kakhovka water reservoir, but according to this information, which is reported by RIA Novosti, water level is continuing to drop in Kakhovka water reservoir, and now it's holding on a 6-meter level, which is basically catastrophic level for this Kakhovka water reservoir for surrounding areas, because Kakhovka water reservoir was the main source of water for all the settlements around. It was main source of water for Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and it was main source of water for agriculture, cultural purposes also, because it's fields all around here, and these fields were receiving water from this area with this reservoir. But now, when levels are dropped about 6 meters and are continuing to drop, of course it's an emergency situation, and according to this information, local administrations are already taking measures to make sure that water supply will be guaranteed to residents of surrounding areas. So it's emergency that was caused by Zelensky's regime, which did destroy this Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant just recently. Let me continue now, and this is, you may find this information interesting. TASS news agency is reporting that tankers of Russian tankers from Western military district did manage to make a shot for 9.5 kilometers from a tank, by the way, and destroyed Ukrainian BMP armored personnel carrier if this information is true, and if there will be some video photo confirmation, must be video confirmation, then it's quite possible that this is a record-breaking shot from the tank, because if I'm not mistaken, before this longest successful tank shot was made by British Challenger during Iraq war in Basra area, if I'm not mistaken, and during that operation, Challenger tank, British Challenger tank, did destroy T-55, if I'm not mistaken, of Iraqi forces from 3.5 to 4 kilometers distance. And now we are seeing information that Russian tanker did manage to destroy BMP from 9.5 kilometers. Oh, wow. That's a quite amazing shot, isn't it? But yet again, it has to be confirmed with independent or objective control. But anything is possible, isn't it? Let me continue now, and this is TASS News Agency's report also about statements that an official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, did made about this so-called peace talks that Zelensky's regime is trying to push, in which Russia is not invited. And Zakharova did say just obvious stuff that any peace talks, any talks about Ukraine, to have any chance to succeed, must involve Russian position and must involve Russian representatives, which is, I mean, obvious, isn't it? But nowadays, a level of Western elites and their puppets, including Zelensky and his associates, are so low that you can expect any kind of crazy steps from them, and that's why, in full seriousness, they are trying to hold some peace talks about Ukraine without inviting Russia, which is, I mean, you tell me what that is, man. It's just, I don't know. By the way, this is a Kommersant News paper's article about rumors that was spreading yesterday on Russian language, Russian segment of internet, about arrest of Surovikin, General Surovikin, and his deputy, also General Andrei Yudin. Some quite big channels did write about it. I was surprised to see that kind of information, and I did start looking for a confirmation or denial of this rumors, and I did find Kommersant's small article, which is based on statement of Andrei Yudin itself, deputy of Surovikin, and he said that not him, not Surovikin are not arrested and not in Lefortovo. I did write about it on my Telegram also yesterday, because as I said, man, rumors were spreading quite rapidly, and at that moment I only see article about it on Kommersant. And yes, by the way, Andrei Yudin, deputy of Surovikin, is denying this information, so this must be just that, rumors. There is no confirmation whatsoever that Surovikin or this General Yudin was arrested. Let me continue now, and TASS News Agency is reporting that head of Ukrainian Defense Ministry, this immensely corrupt individual, Alexei Reznikov, immensely corrupt and unqualified individual, did say that main events of Ukrainian counteroffensive are ahead, and according to him, we did not even see first stage of counteroffensive. That's quite a strange approach, of course, especially when you take in account losses that Zelensky's regime had during this first stage of counteroffensive on Zaporozhye sector of the front line. But of course, with propaganda, so so high expectations was created, not just among society in the Ukraine or in the West, but also among so-called elites, also that now they have to come up with some kind of justifications of their failures. And that's why they are saying now that, you know what, main thing is to come in regards to counteroffensive. Nothing has just begun yet. But I mean, who gonna take seriously these people? But yet again, this is Defense Minister of Ukraine, by the way. Let me continue. And this is quite interesting. This is quite interesting because RIA Novosti is reporting that former aide of Kuchma, former president of Ukraine, Oleg Soskin, did said in his Telegram channel that conflict in Ukraine did reach stage like in 2014, 2015, when it's basically a stalemate on the front, and because of that there is no reason to keep there is no reason to have a военное положение. Let me translate this for a second. Martial law. So there is no need to keep martial law over the entire Ukraine, and so presidential election should be held. As you know, but by the way, Zelensky did spoke about it, and I guess made decision to continue to suspend presidential election, which should take place in 2024, as long as martial law is in force in Ukraine. And not everyone is happy about it, because as you can see here, this Oleg Soskin, former aide of president of Ukraine, is saying that yes, situation is difficult on the sector of the on the front lines and the regions that are bordering front, but rest of the Ukraine is peaceful enough, and there is no reason to not conduct presidential election. But yet again, I don't think Zelensky gonna listen to this individual, and to be honest, I don't think these kind of statements are even safe to make if you are in Ukraine. But of course, there are many Ukrainian channels on Telegram, even small media outlets that are kind of not happy that Zelensky is becoming a mini dictator in Ukraine. But what they gonna do, really? I mean, they can do nothing. And as long as Zelensky has support of Washington and London, he can do just anything he wants in Ukraine, just anything. Let me continue now. And TASS news agency is reporting that Warsaw did make decision to reinforce border with Ukraine excuse me, after deployment of PMC Wagner in Belarus. Very same statements or similar statements were made in Baltic states that are neighboring Belarus. Well, PMC Wagner has a reputation, isn't it? That, you know, they do scare entire states now, and well, Poland is, you know, has all the rights to reinforce its border. It's okay, absolutely, as long as Poland itself are not conducting any sabotage activity inside Belarus. Because, as I said quite a few times before, I think one of the main reasons why PMC Wagner was deployed to Belarus is to conduct counter-terrorist operations if Poland will send to Belarus, if Poland will infiltrate a border with Belarus with hundreds of citizens of Belarus that was recruited by Polish secret services and have been trained in military terms and in sabotage activity by Polish specialists. So I guess Belarusian side will also try to reinforce its border, not just with Poland, but also with the Baltic states. But that's you know, movement of PMC Wagner definitely are creating waves on the map, on the political map. Let me continue now, and this is RIA Novosti's report. A very interesting development. Yesterday afternoon, we did had 2 reports about Switzerland, reports that were kind of contradicting each other, because first information is that Swiss government denied one of the Swiss companies, Rugsa, to sell 96 Leopard 1A5 tanks through Germany to be deployed eventually to Ukraine. And you know, one may say that's quite understandable. Switzerland is formally, at least, a neutral state, so it cannot allow Swiss military equipment or spare parts to be used in any conflict. You know, Swiss cannot be part of the confrontation, basically. But very same time, we had this information that Swiss government did make decision to join anti-Russian sanctions, 11th package of anti-Russian sanctions. So what kind of behavior this is, man? I mean, in one hand, Swiss government is trying to demonstrate that Swiss is still neutral state. But in second hand, in very same day, we are receiving information that Swiss government did make decision to join anti-Russian sanctions. So which one is then? Are you neutral or are you in anti-Russian coalition? Of course, Switzerland is de facto not neutral, and there were many instances that Ukrainian forces were using Swiss military equipment and weaponry, and many military equipment that was delivered to Ukraine has Swiss spare parts, which is supposed to be not being delivered to Ukraine, because formally Swiss never did give such a permission. But in reality, Switzerland, of course, part of anti-Russian coalition, and unfortunately, I don't think this beautiful, wonderful state will ever be able to regain reputation of the true neutral state. I just don't think so. But, you know, and by the way, eventually I think this Leopard 1A5 tanks will anyway end up in Ukraine. Or maybe they already are in Ukraine. Who knows? And the next information is this is very serious stuff. This is very serious stuff. Yesterday, all the Russian media outlets did pay attention to development in Sweden, when some provocateurs and extremists did receive permission to conduct protests in Stockholm, and right next to mosque, and then burn Quran, which is holy book for all the Muslims. And this is unbelievable, man. This is just unbelievable. This is pure provocation and basically crime. And Swiss police, not Swiss but Swedish police, did give permission to conduct such a I don't know how to call it, such a crime. Which is crazy, man, which is crazy. I cannot believe that this is really happening, man. How you can insult beliefs of other people, man. How anybody in any normal person can allow this to happen. I mean, this is unacceptable in so many ways. This is wrong, man, wrong. But yet again, it's, you know, all around, you know, all the media outlets are reporting that this kind of crime was permitted by Swiss police and Swiss judiciary system. And well, already reactions are have been taking place all around the world, and of course Turkey is not exception. And head of Turkish Foreign Ministry did make statement that this is provocation. And well, I guess not just Turkey, but just everyone, all normal people are condemning this provocation. And I guess Sweden will find it difficult to join NATO for quite a while now, yet again. And you know, when I'm reading this information, you tell me what you think about it. But you know, I was thinking that maybe Swedish elites don't really want to join NATO, and that's why they are allowing these kind of provocations to take place, because they know Turkey will react on this provocation, and possibly will block Sweden to join NATO. Maybe Swedish elites did make decision to join NATO under pressure from London and Washington, and in reality they don't want to do it, and that's why this kind of madness are taking place in Sweden. It's a possibility, probably, isn't it? And by the way, Russian President Putin did also made comment about this, and of course he condemned this provocation and crime that Swedish police and Swedish government basically did allow or authorize, which is you know, that's the only position that we can have, really, because this is not about freedom of speech or freedom of expression. I mean, this is pure crime and pure provocation, and it has nothing to do with freedom of speech, man, and or expression. But yet again, you know, I think Swedish elites don't really want to join NATO, and that's why they are using these extremists as sick individuals to conduct such crimes and provocations. And by the way, next information is from RIA Novosti, according to which Russian government did make decision to, you know, did approve a strategy of development of you know, drone aviation, basically unmanned aviation. And well, drones are becoming more and more, are playing more and more significant role, of course, not just in military terms but also in civilian terms, and in many areas of economy drones are used quite actively already, including deliveries, for example, including deliveries. If you remember, in one of my videos for Patreon, I did share drones that are working in Moscow, for example, that are delivering food to customers. So drones are taking, you know, becoming more and more adopted in everyday life, and well, I guess we will see even more and even faster развитие. How this word, man? Development, even faster development of this segment of the economy. But when it comes to military drones, of course, Ukrainian conflict did highlight how effective drones can be once again, and on whole new level. And especially when it comes to so-called kamikaze drones. They are extremely effective. Russian side is using, you all are familiar probably with Lancet drones that Russian side is using quite actively, and many other types of drones. So I guess development of kamikaze drones will intensify significantly also, because of course lessons of Ukrainian conflict will be learned, will be studied all around the world, and some adjustments will be made in military strategies. Let me continue a few more news. I hope this video won't be too long. So a few more news. RT is reporting that Russia is ranked among world's biggest food exporters, and 2.1% of food exports in a global scale on global market in 2022 was on Russian part, which is, it may not looks big, 2.1%, but when we are talking about world scale, it's enormous. It's just enormous, and Russia is one of the major suppliers of many food items in the world, and Russia has huge potential because of its vastness of Russian territory. Russia has huge potentials to become to become a major food producer in this world. And by the way, this news is gonna be last one for this first update. According to RIA Novosti, Russian GDP did grow in May in annual terms on 5.4%, which is which is not just quite, but it's very significant. It's very significant, and if next month will be also such successful in terms of GDP growth, then maybe even very optimistic forecasts for Russian GDP growth in annual terms will have to be rethink, because maybe Russian GDP will grow even more than that. And most optimistic forecast that I see was 3%. And who knows? Who knows? It's quite a long time before end of the year, and well, with this number, with these kind of numbers, Russian economy definitely can grow at least 2 to 3%, at least. So, and which is, by the way, surprising, isn't it? If we are taking into account all these thousands and thousands of sanctions and the immense pressure that Western elites are imposing on Russia. And this is it for now. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please consider to to push that like button, to leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you think this channel is interesting, useful, has some potential and deserves to exist, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day, and take care.